On today's episode, we're talking with Ann Baker Ronn about the non-disabling injury rider. And I have talked about this rider a couple times with Scott and I on our YouTube channel, and then we have a podcast episode about it. A non-disabling injury rider is not offered on every disability insurance contract, but for those that are considering disability insurance, it's usually going to pay if your physician's deeming you disabled from an injury or illness. But what if we have injuries, and we're talking like self-inflicted injuries, you're tripping over your own feet. There's ways that we just do those silliest things in life, things you wouldn't expect, and then you have this problem. Well, disability insurance doesn't cover that. It doesn't cover burnout. So if we could have a rider that could cover and give us a little bit of a break, if we have literally a break, I find that when I share this with clients and if it's the right product for them, they really enjoy this rider. And so, Ann, I know that you have shared some stories with me, and I think you might have had a busy week and even talked with a client, unfortunately, that had an event this week, or was it 2 weeks ago and had surgery. But I thought the audience would probably it'd be beneficial for them to hear how this plays out and how easy it is to file this benefit once it's there. The injury benefit.
So I'll just share a few stories with you. This most recent one, the client was getting ready to go to work. She's an attorney. She put on her high heels and she just slipped and broke her kneecap. She actually told me that her full recovery will not be until October of this year because the rehab is just extremely slow with a kneecap. But I spoke with she and her husband last night, and I explained to them that they would get a tax-free benefit that would come to them after they submit, their expenses that they had. And I also explained to them at the end of the call that not that I hope they have another accident, because I certainly hope they do, but that this is not a one-time benefit. So God forbid something else happens to them, that they should reach out to me again, because one of my clients actually bit into something and her teeth shattered. And she had to have surgery over multiple months. So she had surgery in like January of one year, and then the end of that year, and then the following year. It was a 3-part surgery. So she called me and she said, I claimed on this last year. Should I claim on it again? And part of me was like, I'm not sure if you should do that. But I said, you know what? Why not try? Like, there's no harm. So she did file, and she got paid in 1 year, and then she got paid in the next year. So it is something that I think they viewed as 2 separate incidents, because it was, 2 different surgeries that she had to repair her teeth. Some of the funny stories that I like to tell, one of my clients, her cat brought a frog into the house, and as she bent down to pick up the frog to take it out of the house, her foot shattered. Which I thought when I submitted that claim that the insurance company would just be laughing, because, like, are you making this stuff up?
Are you playing a joke
like
on us?
Really a frog? But so her foot shattered. Obviously, she had to go to the emergency room. And so another one that involved an animal is a client was walking his dog, and the dog pulled him into a pole, and he broke his ribs. So, of course, he had to go to the emergency room.
Wow.
And then another client and friend of mine, actually, at Christmas, she was cutting a ham, and she cut into this webbing part of her finger.
Oh, gosh.
And it was funny because when she told me the story, I didn't even think about the non-disabling injury benefit. I was just like, oh, were you okay? Oh, my gosh. And then every year I send a letter out to my clients reminding them of this great benefit. And she called me, and it was like, the November, it happened December the previous year. She said, can I still file this? I said, yes, you have a year. So she filed it, and she was reimbursed for, part of her expenses. So I think that it's something that people feel happy that they don't have to become totally disabled to get this benefit. But it's also, here's another kind of strange one. One of my clients was reaching for her radio in her car, and she pulled something down the back of her neck. And she called me up, and because she had gotten my letter, the reminder, and she said, do you think that this is really a non-disabling injury benefit? I feel like maybe it's not an injury. And I said, look, it's your choice. It'll take you about 30 minutes to fill out the paperwork. But if you think it might work, it's worth a try. So she filled it out, and she called me about a week later. She said, you won't believe it. This money is in my bank account. But of course, then she had to complain, because it took her 2 hours to fill it out, not 30 minutes. But I felt like the reward was still worth the 2 hours of work. So,
I think so. Yeah, so that's good that you're reminding people, because it is as long as it's within 12 months of the event, right? And then it's dollar for dollar up to the amount that's in the contract. So there's limits. But I think people think, oh, it's like car insurance. I don't want to report it because then my rates will go up, and it doesn't do that.
Such a good point. No, it doesn't. It does not increase
Banging up a car. It's different events can have different payouts. I think I had somebody within 4 months have 2 claims. And these are just silly things, like the teeth really surprises people. And they're like, my natural tooth, you're telling me I can literally file for that, but we're talking chewing on candy, things that you wouldn't even think about, and all of a sudden there's a problem. I know one of my physician clients had a soccer league, and he was playing soccer and someone fell on him and the broken collarbone. I mean, it's annoying. You're going to be okay, but even if healthcare covers that event, the copays, whatever, it doesn't matter. You're just filing for the statement of costs and the dollar for dollar based upon your contract. So yeah, I think it really surprises people, but I feel like it's a really modern ancillary feature that's built in. Not every state has this, but I always like it when I can say, hey, you have this in addition to a few other things, because, we hope to never use these plans, but we certainly need them. So if something goofy happens, we have a little bit of help there.
You actually just made me think of another story. So I have a client who's also a very good family friend. And I remember he came for Thanksgiving one year, and he said, oh, you won't believe what happened when I was in New York City. I fell off the curb and I broke my arm. And so I said, well, look, I don't want to talk business. We're having a social event here. But I said, do me a favor, call me Monday. I'm going to make you super happy. And this was the guy whose wife had already claimed. So this is in one family.
Oh.
So he called me and I said, remember the non-disabling injury benefit? And he goes, yeah. And I said, well, you can claim on it. So between he and his wife, they claimed 3 different times. So he was, again, it's not that you're happy that you're in an accident, but you're just happy that there's a feature out there that can help. And a lot of times it helps reimburse not only your deductible that you had to pay out of pocket, but it pays above and beyond your deductible. So it's something that, like I told this woman yesterday when I was helping her with the paperwork, I said, look, once you submit this paperwork to us, you should have a check in your direct deposited into your bank account within, 10 business days. So
yeah, it's nice that they're doing that now versus
mailing it's very fast. And the woman who had reached, for her radio, she just called me. She said, I can't believe I just submitted this 4 days ago and it's already in my bank account. So it's kind of a silly thing, but it's really just a nice feature that I don't think you and I even said. It doesn't cost anything. It's just part of the contract. Right. So there's no extra fee for it. It's just part of the contract language.
Yeah, so to wrap this up, really, just to kind of give some quick stories, I think that's part of the reason you work with independent advisors that can work on checking out all the types of products that are available for you, learn about these things, and just get educated, because you never know what might be already included. Revisit them and then see if there's anything else you might need to fit in the virtual insurance shelf for your planning. So thanks for sharing those stories, Ann. I always love talking with you. You always have little gems, little nuggets of not always fun. Obviously, this is not fun, but I like to see how you're helping people and how things are working.
Great to see
for your
you.
clients.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Ann. We'll see you soon. Thank you for joining us on today's episode of The Amber Stitt Show. For more information about the podcast, books, articles, and more, please visit me at amberstitt.com. Until next week, enjoy your journey at home and at work. Thank you for listening.